Hi, and welcome to the ADK Rock and Metal channel. I've got the three glorious gentlemen from the Hertfordshire drone metal, avant-garde, experimental, whatever you want to call them, Orme, joining us. They released their debut album 2 weeks ago. I reviewed it for Screen Blast Repeat, and I was insistent that we had to interview these boys for our channel. So, first of all, welcome.
Hi, Kirk.
Good to see you've got a microphone there, Tom, as well.
Yeah, we'll be sharing it between us. So.
Yeah, you'll have plenty of time to talk during this. But for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, I'm just going to give some context. You've released an album, which you're self-identified as drone metal, and it's 1 hour and 35 minutes in length.
Yeah, very short.
Very short album. Can you just give us a bit of background? What are the origins of drone metal? I only know that American duo, Sun.
Yeah, I think the band that inspired Sun, there's a band called Earth, by a guy called Dylan Carlson, who was friends with Kirk. So he I think his first album, oddly called Earth 2, kind of started the drone metal phenomenon, and then Sun came along after that. So yeah, that's in terms of drone with metal, and then yeah, yeah, I think that's all I know.
Beginning wise, that's about it.
Jimmy, I knew that you'd be able to tell us about the origins of that. You're a bit like me. You're an encyclopedia, aren't you, when it comes to obscure subgenres?
Yeah, I try to be. It's better than most other boring subjects, to be honest. Plenty of other bands to dive into, and bands of bands. So yeah.
So before we talk about the album, I'll also give some context. So Tom, you're currently in Everest Queen, and Jimmy, you were a founder member of the post-sludge metal trio Everest Queen, and you now full-time or with Orme. Tom, you're also a member of the popular sludge grind trio quartet Praetorian, who I'm
told you we were popular.
Yeah, when we say popular, you're not about to appear on live television on a Saturday night anytime soon. But
Jules Holland has been in touch, but I think we have to turn him down.
Well, you play synth in Everest Queen, don't you, as well as rhythm guitar? So he could play the piano, and you could join him on the synth.
Yeah, by playing the one note I know on synthesizer.
So can you just tell us about how the deal with the cult English avant-garde metal label Trepanation Recordings came about to release your debut album?
Yeah, well, I'd known Dan before, the guy who runs the label, because I'd released a couple of noise EPs through him, where he had a previous label. I think they were called Throne of Nurgle at the time, and then he disbanded that and formed Trepanation. And I've been in touch with him, just generally chatting about weird music. And when we formed the band, and we're having talks of if we wanted to have a label release it, we thought, Dan might be a good choice, because he likes to put out weird stuff, and he kind of knows us. We had chats with him online, and he seemed up for it. But then we did a tour with his noise band, or his noise drone band, Catafalque. In March, was it March of February of 2020, so just before the lockdown, and I just solidified it of him wanting to release our stuff. I think he took a few of our demo CDs with him to give away. So yeah, that's how we got on Trepanation, and then we've been promising this album for him for fucking years, and it's finally come out, and we couldn't be more pleased with how it's come out and how Dan has done with the release. So yeah, Dan's been awesome.
Yeah, let me give you a list of some of the bands I've reviewed over the last 2 years. I think this really is becoming a special label, isn't it, for experimental heavy music, a bit like I Void Hanger Records or that French label Clonosphere Records. There's certain record labels when I receive a press release for one of the artists, I prioritize it. Trepanation are one of them. So the artists I've come across, obviously Everest Queen, for Screen Blast Repeat, Murmurations was our album of the week in 2022 and made our top 50. There's this strange split record from two artists called Duncan Evans and Wilderness Hymnal, which I really enjoyed. That was, I would say, art rock, but really dark. Still, Jimmy, we're big fans of that record, aren't we? I remember seeing you at the gig and you said this just sounded like someone being buried alive.
Yeah, it's Still is just. I think Still was actually one of the, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the kind of like breakout releases for Dan and Trepanation and stuff. And yeah, it is like, it's just a cacophony of like terror and then, forgive the pun, but a bit of stillness at certain points that you just don't really know where they're going to go, and you can't even pronounce their album titles. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's top marks, and they're really cool guys as well. So yeah.
Yeah, because the other ones that are on here, a Scottish symphonic black metal band called Hand of Caliac. They were interesting. I reviewed their album in 2021. But he does look across the pond as well, doesn't he? There's a few American artists I've reviewed. A melodic death metal band called Mortal Thrall. That was last year. And then obviously the Sheffield post-metal band Gozer. We're all big fans of this band. Wow.
Yeah.
How good is that album, An Endless Static, that they released last year?
Yeah, it's fantastic, man. And it was a nice follow-on from Archelon. Rest in peace. But yeah, they're a great band, staying about overseas as well. I think Dan also has the one of the main front people from the band Naja. I think they're originally from Canada but based in Germany now. So yeah, I mean, like, Trepanation seems to be honest, the way I view it, and no offense to Greg Anson, I view it as a bit of a less pretentious or more easily accessible kind of Southern Lord like label from the UK instead, because Dan's just willing to take risks on a lot of people and stuff, and he you know, stands steadfast against what he releases, and I think that's why a lot of people respect what he does. I mean, the fact that he's been in Mastiff like near enough from the start as well, and Mastiff are just like the terrifying and
the heaviest band in Britain, I think it's safe to say.
Like I always say, I think they smash the shit out of Nails personally, but
yeah.
You know, so yeah, I mean, you know, he's seen a lot and he knows how to guide people, but be supportive as well. So I think anyone that's like on Trepanation is very lucky to have Dan and Frenchie from PR Trail, who does a lot of the press stuff behind it and that. So yeah, I'm very lucky and happy to be on Trepanation.
Dan's the bassist, isn't he, in Mastiff, or is he one of the guitar players?
Yeah, he's the bassist in Mastiff.
Yeah.
I do want to give a huge shout out to Frenchie as well at PR Trail, because he knew how much of a challenge like pitching this album to press was. So yeah, so I want to say a huge thank you to Frenchie for that, because he's done a fantastic job.
Yeah, and just to confirm the good company you're in with Trepanation Recordings, one of my favourite albums this year is from a Swedish post-metal band called Collapse, and they produced it. Yes, yeah, how good is that album, Phantom Center? Really enjoyed that. So let's move on to the album then. Track number 1, Nazarene, and it has a reading from Aleister Crowley in there. Where is that text from? Sorry,
it's not Crowley.
Oh, is it not?
No, it's not Crowley. As much as I would have liked it to have been Crowley. No, that's actually from the film Omen 3.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like a couple of speeches that Damien makes in it. So he's in like this underground church, like talking to this statue of Jesus. That's like the first one, and then the second one is he's addressing his like disciples of hell to go and kill all the firstborn children that night to prevent the second coming of Jesus. So yeah, that's where that's from.
I think our listeners and viewers would be impressed that rather than you sample that, you've performed it.
It was originally sampled. Yeah, the demo of that song, it was the sample. And then the first practice I had with Luke when we had this crazy idea to just do this band, I thought, I can't be bothered like loading up the sample. I might as well just like fucking like read it, use spoken word. Yeah, and that turned out quite well. But mostly, I mean, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have even had that idea if it wasn't for Dawn Terry of Bong, like the way she does like those spoken word passages for that band is like incredible. So yeah, I mean, Bong are probably the reason we even did Drone in the first place. They're probably probably the best UK drone metal band ever.
I think they're the best, full stop, but that's just me.
They're just the best.
See, you're my gateway into drone metal, then, aren't you? And I saw that you
Maybe.
played a gig in London. Was it last weekend? Or was it 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yeah, on release day. That was at Helgies, which is personally my favourite bar in all of London. It's like if a Hammer horror film became a bar. It's brilliant. Yeah, so yeah, it's run by the ex-singer of Moss, another like brilliant drone doom band. Definitely check them out. They're great. Although we had to turn down because unfortunately the building was shaking when we were droning away. So,
Well, yeah, you said on your Facebook post, we're looking forward to coming back next year to drone the walls down.
yeah, and our friend, what Jimmy's wearing, Allsire, he was our support act that night. Good old Maxim, who's also in Wallowing. Actually, he's the
yes, new album came out last Friday.
Yes, yeah, I need to listen to that, but I've heard good things.
Sci-fi blackened doom metal, or blackened sludge, I think you call it. It's really extreme. I enjoyed it.
They also I think they released their cassettes, the first album through. I believe they released their cassettes through the first album through Trepanation as well.
Yeah, they're through Trepanation, and actually, yeah, Pupil Slicer released their cassettes through Trepanation as well.
Yeah, that was last year,
and
wasn't
the
it?
new one as well. Yeah, the new one. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I like what they're doing now. Because they know where they're from, don't they? People Slicer, you know them, even playing at the Red Lion in Stevenage and venues like that. And it's great where they are now with Prosthetic Records. What does that say about them as people? They want to give back and still release some of the material on the cassette format on Trepanation Records. It's just going to help to grow the label, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it does kind of show the quality of characters in Pupil Slicer, and I think a lot of other bands who've been with Trepanation beforehand, I think the respect for Dan says a lot. That they're because they could have quite easily just said, nah, we'll just get Prosthetics to do everything, but they've kept that, and cassettes they're on the rise again, which is nice to see after being a person that's listened to cassette for over 20 years. It's nice to see, so I'm really glad that Pupil Slicer did that. It's a nice little tidbit. I didn't know that, so yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask a question, Luke, the drummer? Luke, did you see the Scream Blast Repeat review of the Orme album?
I did, yeah.
I praised how tasteful you were on the drums, very disciplined, because when you've got so much space in a song, where the first 20 minutes are one note on a loop, and then you've got bass and a bit of didgeridoo in there, you could just turn that into a drum workshop. You do the opposite, which makes it more hypnotic.
Yeah.
How do you know when to come in that song? Surely you don't do it the same every time on track number one. If you're playing Nazarene live, you're just going to decide when you want to come in, are you, with those first rack tom fills?
Yeah, no, it's I just feel it, to be honest. Yeah, it's sometimes I come in too late because I'm too lost in the drone, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's really more of a feeling, and I guess we've played it so many times now. It's baked into us how long things go on for. So yeah.
Do you know what I think is really clever about this? Why I would call it avant-garde music. It's like the equivalent of creative writing. It's actually harder to write succinctly, 10 words per sentence with a good rhythm, with great clarity, than it is to write a sentence that's 3 lines long and that is full of adverbs and adjectives and has 26 words in it. It's the same with you, isn't it? Because if you'd have just had common timing in this for 45 minutes, 4/4 timing, the same drum.
First, they wouldn't have any arms left by the end of it.
Yeah, well, that it wouldn't have the impact, but it makes you really wait for those moments of crescendo. Like towards the end of Nazarene, it actually turns into a doom metal song, and it's got a wah-wah guitar solo. When I first heard it, I think I said in the review, the great betrayal of a doom metal riff, because I wasn't expecting it. So you went orthodox for 10 minutes in that song.
Yeah, I think I see it as a bit of a reward for your patience, I suppose.
That's a good way of putting it. Track number 2 then, Tom. That is H.P. Lovecraft, isn't it, that you're referring to?
Yes, yeah, from the story, The Doom That Came to Sarna. So one of the non-Cthulhu ones.
I'm completely fed up of hearing about him. There's much more to Lovecraft mythos than Cthulhu. So.
I mean, we all love Cthulhu, but yeah, it's yeah.
What are you doing, Jimmy, in the bass at the beginning to that? Are you doing like a reverse sweep, a really slow upstroke?
Yeah, so basically it's all it is. So I play chords. I play like literally 2 chords for the majority of that song. But it's A, for a start, it canes my fingers, but it's the sound that is coming from that is where it starts off. It's going through a chorus pedal and a delay pedal, and it's kind of it's taken from Jeff Kashid from ISIS, the post metal band and stuff, and yeah, just thought it would work really well, and I think it does, but I might be a bit biased. So.
Do you feel sorry for your hands though every time we do it live? I just see you go like getting prepared to do it.
Tom, do you know the guitar parts on both tracks? Especially those moments when you're doing, I guess we could even call it a soliloquy. How do you have that note looped? Is that just off a pedal? Because obviously you're not just playing a chord every 5 seconds, are you? Well, I don't understand how you do that.
Live, it's mostly the looper, but recording, I physically did about 8 tracks of like no looped guitar, just straight up playing, and yeah, that caned my hands as well. So yes, I now know your pain, Jimmy. And that, but live, I have the looper going, but I'm still playing as well because adds more depth to it. Yeah, and loop pedals just make my life a lot easier.
Yeah, because my point is, I think this music's quite difficult to compose. Obviously, because it's in the long form format. But all of you have got to really go against your instincts to fill the mix with sounds, with noise, with dissonance, melodies, whatever it is you want to do. And you're pulling back from that, aren't you? So, Luke, you said there's a zenith, a climax at the end, because we want to reward your patience. So before I ask you a question, let me just say, I actually ended up listening to this album 5 times, which I never do for any album that I'm reviewing. It's 3 times.
Thank you.
but you know what helped? This is when I was out walking in the countryside, when I was having a bath in the morning, even while I was working during the day. And that doesn't mean that it's innocuous or that, oh, this is soothing, it's pleasant, it's like ASMR. It's not. It is brooding, isn't it? And I really enjoy that aspect of it. I'll not lie, it's probably one of the most difficult albums I've ever had to review. Because how can you review it? There's 2 songs. What other reviews have you had then? What have they been? A mixed bag, the reviews you've had from other publications?
They've actually been surprisingly positive. I think we've had a couple of sort of less than positive reviews, but largely they've been +5, which I wasn't expecting, to be quite honest.
Even out of the 2 not so great ones, there was one that actually had some constructive criticism, and then one of the guy absolutely hated it. He absolutely loathed it, and we love that. And we still have we use his quote in our press. His quote is like, "This album should be for masochists to seek out." 3 out of 10.
But there you go. In some ways, though, that's what you're aiming for, aren't you? So it's had an impact. It's unforgettable music, isn't it? And to me, that's what's challenging about it. But you must be doing something right. If people are baffled by it, surely you're doing something right, aren't you, as an artist?
Yeah, I mean, we're still surprised that a lot of people like it, and not more of the hating it. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, we didn't really have much expectations for this. We just thought, this is very niche, but we love what we do. We'll just put it out there, and yeah, we're still quite surprised by the reaction to it, and it's still sinking in, to be honest. Just like, this can't be this. Why are we getting all these nice things said about drone metal? And although I suppose it's timed very well with like Bell Witch's new release, like, what was it, like 80 minutes or something? So there seems to be a taste for long form music again that we've seemed to have timed well with this release. So yeah, it's been great.
You're right. Do you know what? I'm looking at, so I review 8 albums a week for Scream Last Repeat. My God, the last 2 weeks, Metallica's album, 1 hour and 17 minutes. Dodd Heimsgaard's comeback album, 1 hour and 7 minutes. I'm reviewing an album this week by a band called Oath of Cranes with the ex-Celtic Frost drummer, 1 hour and 20 minutes. Yours, 1 hour and 35 minutes. So this is just...
Is that Reed St. Mark, or is that the one that was on Monotheist?
Yeah, it's not Reed St. Mark. It's Franco. He was on Monotheist. Yeah, you were getting excited.
Tom G. Warrior hates that guy, doesn't he, man?
Why did they
have you seen the documentary? He just looks like he wants to fucking kill him. It's great.
Yeah, when he says we shouldn't play Mexico, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah. Great tangent. We've just gone off there. Yep, so Oath of Cranes. But yeah, you're right. Long form music. I think with me, only because I review a certain amount each week, I couldn't do 8 albums over an hour. I'm expecting 40 minutes. But with you, it's an immersive experience. And Luke, you said you'll decide when you come in on drums because you're almost hypnotized by it. And you said you had no expectations for this record. That's because you've written it for yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I think that's what you should do. I don't think you should cater to anyone else when you're making art. You know, I think it's just it's special to us, and clearly it must be special to some other people as well, which is great to see.
Yeah, can we talk about the on track number 2, the captivating female vocalist? What's she called? Sorry, who joined you on that song, Tom?
Che Griffin Anchor is her name.
What's her background musically? How do you know her?
Well, Luke and I know her from university, and we would always we usually put together in groups for like projects and stuff. And she has her own solo stuff. The Captain, I think it's called. Yeah, The Captain. So she's more it's more like kind of garage R&B with a bit of trip hop as well.
What? You wouldn't know that listening to her contribution on Onwards to Soda.
Yeah, she's amazing. So, and we've always had an idea of having her on record, and so it was a no-brainer really. And she's really professional as well, because I think the day I asked her if she wanted to do it, she said yes, and then she did the vocals the day after, which was the second hottest day of the year that year, and she.
At that point, I think it was the hottest day of the year.
Yeah, it would get hotter the next day, but she not only did like just a vocal track, she did like 5 harmony tracks? Yeah. 8 harmony tracks to that as well, and just blew us away. Yeah, so full props to Che, because she's an amazing vocalist. Yeah.
For some reason, I just assumed, obviously, it's not the case, because it works so well. Your mantra chanting, let's call it that. You might have another name for it. And the way she does it with those, I just assumed you were both in the studio together doing that. Obviously, you weren't.
No. The first time we ever did that, like together in person, was when we were practicing for the album launch show. We only had that one practice, and there was a bit when I think we were doing the second run through, and I just stepped back and let her do it by herself because it was just fantastic. I just wanted to listen to her do all that and not have me interfere, go or anything like that. So, and she absolutely killed it at the release show as well. Absolutely killed it. So hopefully we'll have her do some more shows of us as well. If we perform Sarn after.
Yeah, I was gonna say, obviously no one's gonna give you an hour and 35 minute set, are they? So you've got I've noticed you've got a festival coming up, or a gig, and a lot of them are trepanation bands. Massive are headlining, aren't they? You're on that. What is that gig? Where's the venue, and when does it take place?
I think that's a Praetorian one.
Is it Praetorian? I'm sure I've seen on the poster. I mean, you will know it's your band, but what other gigs
I wish
you got?
Like Mastiff, but no, that one's a Praetorian show. The next gigs we've got coming up is one in Felfoot Woods up in Cumbria, which we've been looking forward to for a while. And then the one after that is Abyssal Fest.
That might be it. Yeah, who headlines that?
Ohms are headlining that, along with Famine and Bismuth, so it's going to be
That's it! Famine, yes, and Ohms. Great man. Church. That's another label, Church Road Records. They're
Yeah,
putting
great
some
label.
great albums out, aren't they? For in England, especially. Yeah. So when's that gig? Sorry, in Southampton.
That is July. I've got to check the calendar now. That's the thing, which we knew.
I'll bring it up on screen, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Oh, for God's sake!
It's fine.
It's July the 8th. So
Yeah.
July the 8th in Southampton at the Firehouse, which is a fantastic venue. So,
Yeah, I might
that'll
have
be
to.
a great one.
Might have to
Oh yeah,
go.
and the Grey are playing that as well. Who are another fantastic local
Was-
band.
Yep, Cambridge instrumental post metal, I guess we call them, aren't
Yeah, we played with them in Rotherham last week, and I always forget how amazing they are. Just-
we? Yeah.
It just gets better and better with the Grey, really, to be honest.
Good to see them playing Bloodstock as well. They're on
Yes.
the bill, aren't they, this
Yeah.
year?
Yeah, no, that'll be fantastic as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they're making great progress. So clearly, it took you how many years from when you first started writing this to finally produce the album for Orme?
The pandemic kind of killed the momentum. I think we had the songs done, or like more or less written by the beginning of 2020. Yeah, but then we were planning on recording them in 2020. Obviously, didn't. So we did. I think we recorded Nazarene like late 2021, and then we did Sarnath early 2022. Yeah, and then getting it all mixed and mastered getting it mixed by Andy at the practice rooms, who recorded
Yeah, I
us
saw that.
anyway. Yeah, no, he did a fantastic job, and he doesn't have a background in metal at all. He's more like dub and hip hop, but I think that actually worked in our favour. I think because of that really bass heavy production, and he just absolutely nailed it. And then getting it mastered by me and Jimmy, Jimmy and I's hero, Adam Richardson from like Ramesses and 11 Paranoias. This is a fucking dream come true. So yeah, and he said he liked the album as well, which is a bonus.
He loves it. He loves it.
He loves it.
So just for another question, I think I've asked you this before, but I might have been drunk. Luke and Tom, what did you met at university then, did you? What were you studying at university?
We both were studying music. I studied music composition and technology, and Tom studied songwriting and music production. So I mean, not much difference, to be fair. But yeah, we were in the same cohort in the same year. So yeah, and as was Jay as well. She was in the same course as Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of songwriting were you learning about at university, Tom?
It was obviously more commercial. Well, it was supposed to be more commercial minded, but I think there was some problems with like some guest lecturers, so that it was a very inconsistent curriculum on the actual songwriting front. But the production stuff was great. I learned a lot about production, but I think what really clicked was the experimental music module that you could actually choose to take, and I was in that with Luke and Shay actually, and we had an amazing lecturer, Dave Smith, who he's a fantastic composer, like first class pianist as well, and he hugely influential on like Luke and I and Shay as well, just like the music he exposed us to, and the new instruments and world music as well. Like we got to play gamelan, like these Javanese instruments, and like steel pans as well. It was absolutely amazing just being exposed to all this, and it's definitely had an impact on our music.
Yeah, Jimmy,
So
you
shout
got
out Dave
Dave
Smith wherever you are, man.
Dave Smith, you should point some albums, man. You say he's a composer. Send something my way. Tell me where.
Yeah, well, we'll have to. So he's been on tons of things, hasn't he? So we'll have to have a look through and send them to you.
Looking forward to it. Jimmy, you play the didgeridoo on this album. How much experience do you have on that instrument before you used it on this album?
Absolutely fuck all. I bought it during lockdown, to be honest, because I found it on Amazon for fairly cheap, and I thought, because obviously there was a lot of talk about the album during lockdown and stuff through Messenger and phone calls and whatnot, and yeah, I got it into my head that a great idea would be to, because I was just trying to think of what's another naturally droning instrument and stuff, and didgeridoo just seemed like the one, and I couldn't. There probably is like tons out there, and it's not a new or an original thing to do, but yeah, I don't remember any Sun records with it on. I don't know any Bong records with it on, so I was just like, well, fuck it, let's go for it. And the guys seem to like it, and I don't play it how it's meant to be played at all. You know, it's just I got the sound out of it that I like, and these guys liked it. So yeah.
Yeah, in my review, I said I can hear phantom oboes. It seems like an oboe to me. So that's cool what you're saying.
Yeah,
and,
no.
You got the sound you wanted from it.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the thing is that at the point in that track of Onward to Sarnath, that's when the when the racer actually, you know, to me in my head, that's like the sort of like the war horn, like the call to war and stuff, and like marching under the lake of Minar and whatnot. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but Minar. Okay, even easier. Even easier than I thought. But yeah, so that's how it worked in my mind to get that sound and stuff. And didgeridoos are fucking hard to play. Like I butcher the thing, to be honest. But like, you know, like a proper didgeridoo player would, you know, did a fantastic job. But I like what I did on it, and I think it works for the record. So yeah.
Yep, it just adds to the experimentation. So just before we conclude the interview then, is anything you want to say in terms of reasons why people should go out and listen to this album, especially if they like metal and have never been exposed to this type of experimental music?
Well, to be honest, I mean, in these dark times where you don't get a lot of bang for your buck, you can get a double album for 10 quid off a independent label from the UK and support them and stuff. And I mean, you know, personally, even if you end up listening to it and not liking it, you can still appreciate that artwork and stuff, because Richard Stevenson done a fantastic job. Richard from Dreadbeggar and Lower.
Was that Richard who did that?
Yeah, Richard Stevenson. It was actually his first ever painting.
Wow.
And stuff. He just watched the Bob Ross video and just obviously
that
is a natural.
It's the best front cover artwork of the year so far. It looks great on the Screen Blast Repeat website. It looks great on this video.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think
Richard
that's
who did that.
Yeah, Richard did that. I think it's helped us a lot as well, especially like at gigs. There was one guy who bought the CD based on the artwork, then listened to us, and then bought another CD for like himself or something like that. So yeah, but no, I mean, give it a listen. If you like drone, then hopefully you'll like this. And if you like heavy doom riffs, stick with it. If you don't like drone, stick with it, because yeah, obviously our influences aren't just drone. You know, like listen to Orme, and you know, people have said they can hear Orme in it. Some people have heard Bell Witch and stuff like that. But you know, we think we're us, and yeah. And also, it's the first. Sorry to keep going on, but it's the first metal album that's actually been recorded and like mixed, I believe, at practice rooms in Stevenage, and in its entirety. And a lot of metal bands go there, but no one actually goes through them. They go through their mate, who they'll think they'll get it for cheaper, and then they end up having to go and re-record it or something like that. And yeah, we think Andy like done a fucking amazing job for someone who's, you know, doesn't really listen to metal. He just worked his bollocks off and got it right and stuff. So yeah, go buy it.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. Definitely
Thank you for having us, Kirk.
Yeah, go out and listen to the album. Review it if you can as well. It's really fertile territory. If you fancy yourself as a creative writer and you want some music that will conjure images and will certainly help you express yourself, whether you like it or not, I definitely think that you'll find something in there that will certainly inspire you. So yeah, enjoy the extended bank holiday weekend, and I will see you around soon.